I was privileged to ride with 69-year-old owner-driver Howard Charman in his beautifully maintained Volvo.
Here's my ride.
Howard had loaded the night before and picked me up at 7 a.m. sharp. We ran up to Rochester, we talked, delivered the load, picked up another, and talked. My only regret was that the journey wasn't longer. Howard is a truly interesting man with a wealth of trekking experience to share.
My ambition was to have a T-cab Scania. We've seen them.
Yep.
They make such silly money. I went to the guy that does my fitting, Barry. He's never such a good fitter, but him and I jumped in the car and went up to see one up near Cambridge. And it'd been running to Russia, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It was like neglected. The cab had been hand painted, so I had to walk away from it. Tilted the bonnet and there was grass growing out the air filter. Sure sign of that. So. Afraid I'm fairly old to see, but the old days we didn't have very good brakes, so you had to use the gears and that to slow down. It holds 1,500 litres of coal.
1,500?
Yeah, 700. Everything looks alright.
That's a nice touch. Yeah, I'm very lucky I can stand up and put my jeans on when I'm on a night out, you know, without hitting a head on the roof or anything. Some of the trucks I've had, you had to get dressed on the bunk, pull your jeans on, wriggle into them. And they're nice and warm and quiet. You've got radio and CB and things like that. I've had a CB since 1976. Normally I run with it on a low squelch, as they call it, just to find out if you get any traffic problems. Somebody will come back and say there's a blockage and so ahead, you know, and you can use your time to react or go round it. So what channel do the truckers run on?
19. In the past, it's not so prevalent now as it used to be. Way back when Convoy first came out, it was AM. Everybody had to run disguised handles, as they used to call it, or names. Mine was turbocharged because I was driving a Ford Transcontinental with a turbocharger, which was rather uncommon in those days. And I can recall going down to South Wales. Somebody came back and said, anybody heading between Newbury and Swindon turn off, back off, because there's some loose horses on the motorway. Went round the corner and I actually got out in the middle lane and was slowing the cars and other trucks down, because just round the corner there were the horses running back and forth between the barrier and the thing. And that kind of warning just saves an accident. Can't see a great deal at the moment. Yeah, I worked for my dad on the farm for 2 years, and it wasn't really me, and he said if you want to go and do something else, feel free. And they were building a local bypass with heavy equipment, and so I pestered them for a job, and they gave me a start. And then I worked building various roads around this country and Germany and places, and in the winter I used to get laid off, and I decided I like trucks, so I used to get a job driving for a local firm with a fairly small truck, and then slowly I worked my way up. And I went into trucking full time when the motorways were finished building, and now I'm wearing the roads out that I built with my own truck lights. Just to be careful, no vans come scooting around the corner when you're going. You have to move, you've got stretched, dangling, you know.
Yeah.
There we go. There's the road down there. Leave enough room for him to get round here. Let's get unstrapped. Or the fuel duty that we pay on trucks, and at the moment it's 60% tax on a gallon of fuel. So if I spend £1,000 a week on fuel, I'm spending £600 in tax on it, which is why we're hard up in this country.
Okay.
Say on your
I don't know yet.
7, is it? There's one on the tractor unit underneath the toilet. We're probably grossing about 39 tonnes now,
Yep.
which is 5 tonnes light, so it's no problem.
Nice looking truck this one, really. 460.
I quite enjoy driving for myself. As you will see, I'm old. I'm 69, but I do enjoy driving for myself and having my own truck and making my own decisions. I was told years ago that I would never ever get rich, but I will enjoy what I do, and it's exactly right. You know.
Yeah.
One of the nice things is if you don't want to do a job, you just say sorry, I can't do it. You know. Because there are some jobs that are horrible jobs, and I don't see the necessity to put yourself through the mill when you don't need to. He did say, he said, if you say you're going to do something, do it. So on the back of my trailer it has, my word is my bond, and I won't undertake a load unless I'm sure I can do it. For myself, 25 years.
25 years?
Yes. It is hard when you first start up because you've borrowed money and you've got to keep the truck working, and at the same time it's got to be legal, you've got to have it serviced, and it wants to be reliable, because there's nothing worse than breaking down miles from home and having to pull a company out. And I started with this guy that used to service the trucks on the truck that I was driving before I went on my own, called Barry Golds, and he's such a good fit. He will look at the truck when he services it and say, that's wearing, that really wants to change him next time you come in for a service, and that way you'll get trouble-free motoring. You know, there are things that go, sometimes you can't help, but most of the time, you know, he's pretty on the ball. So I've stuck with him. And
25 years?
For 25 years, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's never let me down yet. I mean, occasionally a brake chamber would go. That's the rubber in between the chamber. Occasionally, they very rarely, but they do go. And he will come out and fix it for me, or he's given me a tool so I can wind it off and fix it myself. You know.
Were illegal at one point.
Yes. But now we've got the down-facing mirrors. There's nothing you can't see in front of you. Not
But a grid like that doesn't stop you from seeing anyway. I mean, it's...
No, it doesn't. Come up to this roundabout, you'll get a better view of the bridges there.
That's the Medway Bridge, yeah?
Yes. 2 road bridges and a rail bridge there.
2 road bridges and a rail bridge.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Nice pub.
You're in a different place every day. You haven't got anybody looking over your shoulder. You make your own decisions. And it's such a varied life. You know, there are times when you park up at night and you can't find anywhere safe to park, and you're in a lay-by, and then you're worrying about somebody taking your diesel or cutting the curtains through the night. It's not a good night's sleep, which, as I'm getting older and crime is getting more prevalent in this country, I try and find a truck stop. It might cost me between £15 and £25, but it's peace of mind, you know. And also you've got other drivers to speak to. Unfortunately, years ago, when I first started driving, I had a day cab, no sleeper cab. So on one occasion I went to BRS at Newport for a reload, and I said, can I leave my truck in your yard, and you know, for any digs? He said, we've got a van coming down to pick 6 of our drivers up. Would you like me to see if they've got a spare bed? And they did. They booked me in the spare bed, and I'm only 21, 22 at the time, and this old boy, which is my age now, he said, come on, you've got to go for a walk. He said, you've been in that truck all day long, you need exercise. So we went for a walk in Newport over the travelling bridge. There's travels on rails. There's only 3 in the country, but it's another story. And we walked about 5 or 6 miles that night, and at the end of the evening I'm walking along like a tortoise and he's still going strong. And I thought, that man's a fit man and he knows what he's talking about. So now if I'm parked up and it's a nice evening, I'll go for a walk because it's good exercise, you know. So the hassle from other people sometimes.
What kind of other people?
Badly parked cars where you say, would you mind moving because it's very tight for getting through. We've had bigger trucks than yours through here, and all trucks are standard width, but some are longer, I know. So they're just so uncooperative, you know.
Have you ever been coming to a stop and find somebody nipping past you and going in and stopping in front of you?
All the time. And a funny thing happened to me, which is near Arundel. We've got 2 lanes, and like with a truck you don't want to be standing on the road, so you just try and keep it constant. And this little Peugeot 206 came by and nicked in front of me, and the lights are stopped in front, so I tooted the horn because it didn't give me a lot of braking room. And this guy got out of his car to have a go at me, and his girlfriend jumped in the driver's seat and drove off, and there was this young lad herring down the road after his car because the lights had changed and everybody had gone, you know. That was funny, that was. But
the lighter side of it, yes.
Yes, but I mean, if you wanted to have a go, you could have a go. I mean, I'm as tough as the next man, I suppose, but you know, but that was so funny.
Probably people on the pavements here, 3 to 4 deep, people running along the pavements as well, trying to keep up with the torchbearer who's currently running up.
My dad was very placid, and he always had a phrase. He said, everything will work out in the end, and it always does. It might be, okay, you've had a blowout and you've got to call a tyre company out or change it yourself. But if you sit down and have a cup of tea, get your tools out and think about it, get in a safe position and just do it. I've seen drivers in traffic offices, because most people are very good. When you go to the window, yes, sir, how can I help you? But some people just blank you. A lot of the big dogs are like that, and and there's no need for it. All they got to say, I'll be with you in a minute, sir, you know, as soon as possible, and that's fine, you wait. But when they see you there and they blank you, and then other drivers, they start getting uptight about it, and I say to them, just go with the flow. Sooner or later they'll want you, so they'll come to you. Do you know what I mean? But don't get uptight about it, because there's no point. You know, you're going to die of a heart attack or something like that. And I've been to too many funerals where drivers have got uptight and they're sitting on the edge of the seat and they're like this all the time. They're trying to get somewhere as quickly as possible. But you just got to go with the flow. If you're late, you're late. Just ring up and say, I'm sorry, I'm going to be late. You know, that's the way I work anyways. But I do try and build in a time lag. If somebody says, well, what time are you going to be there? I'll probably put another hour and a half, 2 hours on the delivery time. And then if you're early, they're always pleased to see you. But if you're late, they will moan about it. Hello David, a load of timber. All right, to go in. Thank you. Well, in the olden days, if you lost your air, you lost your brakes. You had a ratchet handbrake on here.
Were those on drums or something?
Yes,
brakes?
they were on drums, yeah. And there was no air in the system to actuate the brake. Nowadays, if you lose your air, your brakes lock on, you can't go anywhere, and it'll just drag you to a halt. I took over an 8-wheeler years ago I was only young, and from an old guy that was retiring, and was a regular run up and down this steep hill called Berry Hill in Sussex, and he took me on the first one. He said, come down this hill in same speed as you expect to go up it loaded. He said, if you get any trouble, you're in the right gear, and you should get yourself out of trouble. I'm coming down one day and the compressor feed pipe came off. I heard it come off and I'd got no brakes at all, so I ratcheted the handbrake on and I'm still in third gear and I'm gathering speed going down this hill, and I thought, I'm too fast to jump out, I've got to stick with it. So I went round this corner, which is by a pub. It's now been straightened, the road, but the road went round by the pub, and I'm praying nobody was coming up because I needed that side of the road to get round that corner. And I went round the corner, and then I stopped 3 miles from the bottom of the hill by rubbing the tyres against the curb. Frightened the life out of it.
Put some wear on your tyres too.
It did, but that piece of advice saved my life, and even till today I still use that method. If it's a steep hill, I use the gears and the engine brake to hold me going downhill. You know, because if you use your main brakes all the time, and they'll just heat up and wear out, and you won't have the capacity for stopping as quickly as you should do. So.
Talk to me about the kind of trucks that you like the best.
Yes.
What was your first truck? Was a small one?
That was an old Albion.
Albion?
Albion, yes. It was a 13-tonner. It was a really old one. Scania I really liked best. I had 2 Scanias, probably over a 22-year period. A nicer gearbox than these Volvos. But having said that, Volvo is nice and comfortable, plenty of room in it, and pulls well. If I could have a Scania gearbox, the old type Scania 3 Series gearbox in a Volvo, I'd be well happy. It doesn't work that way, does it really? The early Volvos used to have 16 speeds and with a splitter on the dash, and that was a really good gearbox. same as the old Fuller 13 speed was in the Ford Transcontinental. You know, they were a good truck. Yeah, things have changed so much over the years. You know, we're lucky now what we've got now compared to what other people had years ago. Sleeping in a day cab with a plank across the two seats and hope nobody opened the door. If they did plank man like that and you went out on the floor. So my ambition, as I mentioned during the day, is to have a long nose Scania, but they're so expensive, and unless somebody leaves me a lot of money, I can't see how I'm going to get one. But if anybody is a budding owner driver, go for it. Buy yourself one, but don't buy a new one because the repayments are so great. Go for a decent second-hand one, and don't overstretch yourself. Because if you overstretch yourself and you get a bad time, then you're in the trouble. But if you live within your means and you keep cash flow right, you should survive. But there's not a great deal of money in it, but it's very enjoyable. So anyway, thank you, Mike. I've really enjoyed today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure for me.
Oh, that's good, mate.